The World Health Organization says South America is becoming a new epicentre of the coronavirus pandemic. Brazil has surpassed 310,000 confirmed cases, with more than 20,000 recorded deaths. In neighbouring Peru, 110,000 cases have been reported, with another 58,000 in Chile.
South America has become a new epicentre for the disease. We've seen many South American countries with increasing numbers of cases, and clearly there's a concern across many of those countries, but certainly the most affected is Brazil at this point. We also note that the government of Brazil has approved the use of hydroxychloroquine for broader use, but we do point to the fact that our current clinical and systematic reviews carried out by the Pan American Health Organization and the current clinical evidence does not support the widespread use of hydroxychloroquine.
2 months after Australia instituted a mandatory quarantine for all travellers entering the country, the UK is now doing the same. While many other European countries are relaxing their coronavirus response measures, Britain is about to institute an obligatory 14-day quarantine for all arrivals into the country, including UK citizens. Europe correspondent Linton Besser reports.
Months after coronavirus arrived in Britain and after tens of thousands of people lost their lives to the pathogen, the UK government has finally announced it's instituting a scheme to force all new travellers to the UK into quarantine. It won't begin until next month, but it will require new arrivals, including UK nationals, to self-isolate for 14 days.
That is the incubation period of the virus, so that if people have become infected overseas, we can limit the spread of the virus at home.
Facing criticism about its long delay at implementing the measure, the government says it's designed to prevent a second wave of infections. Travellers will be required to fill out a form with all of their contact information when they arrive in Britain, and health officials will carry out spot checks. Any breach of quarantine will result in a £1,000 fine.
And those from overseas who refuse to comply could be refused entry. Public Health England will set up an assurance service to contact people at random to ensure that they understand the requirements and to also ensure that they are self-isolating.
Already there are reports Australia is lobbying hard for a special exemption to the scheme. The Australian government has stressed that it presents a low risk to Britain with its strong public health response and low infection numbers.
Linton Besser reporting. Well, dozens of animal parks in Indonesia could run out of food by the end of the month. After shutting their doors due to coronavirus, zoos have little means to keep going. And it's presented those who take care of the animals with a heart-breaking worst-case scenario. Indonesia correspondent Anne Barker reports.
These are desperate times at Bandung Zoo, a few hours' drive from the capital, Jakarta. All 850 animals are on short rations because food is running out.
They get angry and throw things. Their food's finished, but they still want to eat.
In good times, 30,000 people visit every month, spending the equivalent of $125,000, and the animals eat more than 60 kilograms of meat a day and 40 kilos of fruit. But since coronavirus forced the zoo to close in March, the money is gone. Tigers have had their daily feed cut by 20%.
They need 10 kilograms every meal, but we're only feeding them 8. They'll be a lot skinnier.
Bandung Zoo now estimates it can only keep feeding its animals until July, and it's already planning for its worst-case scenario.
We have around 30 spotted deer, and we've identified the old and unproductive ones to slaughter to save the carnivores, like the Sumatran tiger and the Java leopard.
Geese and birds may also be sacrificed, but elsewhere the situation is even worse. Authorities estimate most of Indonesia's 60 zoos, home to about 70,000 animals, could run out of food by the end of May and won't survive without donations. Bandung Zoo has even written to the Indonesian president, but it's still waiting for help. Anne Barker, ABC News.
Now for the day's sport, here's Louise Ransom.
The NRL's dispute with the referees union is over after both parties agreed to let the game move forward with just one match official. Less than a week from the season restarting, both parties were due to begin a two-day Fair Work arbitration hearing this weekend, with the Referees Association unhappy about the switch to just one on-field ref. Instead, a deal was brokered last night. It was agreed that the game would revert to one referee until the end of the year and then reassess with all the relevant stakeholders. The NRL announced earlier this month they would restart the 2020 season with the change, as well as the 6-again rule for ruck infringements.
The end to this dispute was brought about by the referees themselves. They met and they decided not to proceed with the action. So we've been dealing with their representatives up until this point. The referees, after hearing from Peter V'landys, decided that they wanted to meet and they wanted to consider what Peter had put to them, and they decided not to proceed with the action.
South Sydney's Cody Walker has been suspended for 2 matches due to an off-field incident in December. The Rabbitohs have also copped a $20,000 fine for failing to inform the NRL of his involvement. There are reports the club's board members will give serious thought to making coach Wayne Bennett pay the fine after the veteran mentor was informed about the incident by Walker but failed to alert the club or the NRL's integrity unit. There are reports Geelong midfielder Jack Steven has spoken to police 5 days after being hospitalised for a stab wound. They believe Steven may have suffered the injury in the Melbourne suburb of Brighton. It's not clear why Steven didn't speak to detectives sooner. The investigation is expected to be finalised within days. If the AFL decide to hold the showdown in Adelaide to reboot the season, umpires would be forced into a 2-week quarantine in South Australia. SA's Premier won't lift current border restrictions for umpires, but will for TV broadcast crews. Both Adelaide clubs are due to move to a hub on the Gold Coast, along with the 2 Western Australian sides. They could delay the move by a week if the showdown happens. The AFL will announce the fixtures for the season restart next week. 3 players from the Queensland Reds have officially been released by the QRU and Rugby Australia after refusing to take a significant pay cut. Wallabies lock Isaac Rodder and Queensland teammates Harry Hockings and Isaac Lucas were stood down from training on Monday. They'd refused to accept a 60% wage reduction as part of code-wide cutbacks due to COVID-19. The trio claims the QRU had no legal basis to issue the stand-down notice and chose to rip up their own contracts on Friday. 23-year-old Rodder signed a 4-year contract extension with the Reds just 8 months ago. Their manager says the uncertainty of Australian rugby's finances beyond the 30th of September, when the pay cut period expires, influenced their decision. 11-time world surfing champion Kelly Slater has been spotted catching waves off Sydney's Avalon Beach. Blustery weather on Friday saw 10-foot swells. Slater, one of a handful of surfers braving the conditions, his board later snapping in half.
On the satellite, we can see a stream of cloud reaching from the Indian Ocean in the northwest across the north and into the northern New South Wales. On the synoptic, we can see a complex low pressure system off the New South Wales coast, resulting in mid-level clouds stretching over the southeast. Looking around the country for tomorrow. In Queensland, a chance of showers about the north, tropical coast, partly cloudy elsewhere in the south, mostly sunny in the north and east. In New South Wales and the ACT, a few showers along the coast, snow possible about the Alpine peaks, dry and partly cloudy elsewhere. Isolated showers in the south of Victoria, snow showers about the southern Alpine peaks. Light showers about the south and east of Tasmania and possible about the west coast during the morning. Fine elsewhere, morning frost patches in the north. For South Australia, a chance of showers over the southern agricultural area and eastern Eyre Peninsula, grading to a high chance about the southern coast and ranges. In WA, the chance of thunderstorms over the far west Pilbara and western Gascoyne in Western Australia. Mostly sunny in the NT, patchy morning frost across southern districts, light to moderate east to southeast winds, fresh and gusty at times in the central and northern districts during the morning. And that is ABC News for now. I'm Catherine Robinson. Thanks for your company.